Okay, so I've already started the server. Let me open the Eclipse also. So last time we implemented joiner and lever process. Today I will show you complete joiner and lever. Okay, so last time we implemented one workflow. Let's focus on the joiner first. Lever, why is it joiner? Basically one joiner, right? So we edit all these steps. Okay, so this is the steps we edit. Last time set attribute, positioning both at application, sending email. So email part is left, right? So let's first add the code for email, right? So first we'll see how can we send email to users. Right. When we have to send email to user, we use very specific code, right? So in SailPoint, we have a specific code that we use every time whenever we have to send email. Okay, let's say we have an ID. Let's say name is Aaron Nicholas. Okay, so this is the user we are loading context.get object by name. From this user, we can get the email address, id.get email, email destination or email address basically, right? Now the template, right? So in SailPoint, we have templates like we have workflow. Same way we have email templates, different email template where SailPoint has a body, arguments, and the subject. So same way we have to also implement a new template that what we want to use with this code, right? So let's say I'll copy this and I'll create a new template. When you have to create new templates, simply make a copy of this, remove this complete body part, remove the subject, remove the created ID modified, give a name, let's say new joiner user notification. This is the email template name. So this is my email template name. Remove the description, not required, right? This part I'll explain you what is this. Save this email template. Okay, so this is the template I'm calling. Okay, this is my template name, context.get object my name, email template I'm using, right? If template is not available or email destination is null, then simply I'm printing the error message. Else I'm coming here. What I'm doing, I'm creating one map here, map argument equal to new map. Here we are adding some arguments. So what data we need to pass to our email? So this is a code execute, code call the email, right? During this process, if something we need to pass from our code to the email template, right? So that we need to add as an argument here, right? Map argument object. So argument dot put username I'm passing. Username is specific current username. ID dot get name, user password, or let's say hire date or anything like this. Start date, hire date like this, right? We can add those thing here. Okay. Now I want to trigger email. So for that we use this two specific line. Email options option equal to new email options, email destination, right? And argument this map and context dot send object sorry send email notification. So these are the SailPoint API we are invoking to call to send the email notification. Okay, so this is the standard code SailPoint API to call an email email template. Okay, So same we'll use. So what I'm doing, I'm loading a user. For this user, I'm loading the email address. We are loading this template. If both are not null, template is also not null, email address not null, then what we are doing, we are calling our email template. While calling, we are passing this data, username and password, right? Now we need all this information in our email template. So let's go to our email template, the one I just created here. New joiner notification. So let's say body. Let's say username Amit. Your boarding process is completed. Okay. Thanks. I am team. Right. And yeah. Right. And where is that subject? The subject is removed. Let me copy subject entry from other email template. So here we have subject also, right? So add the subject at bottom. Subject. New user onboarding notification. Okay, this is our subject, right? Now, if you see in this email template, I have hard coded this name Amit. We don't need Amit, right? This should be the name of identity for which joiner process triggered. Amit, Praveen, whatever the identity name, right? So this should be dynamic. So this we need to pass from our code, and we are doing it here, username. So anything we want to use here, we need to declare here as an input argument, right? Let me remove the other one. We need to declare like this. So username we are passing. So we need to use username. There is one more user password. So user password also we can use here. Okay. Now anywhere in this template, inside the body or inside the subject, if you want to use username, dynamic username, what you need to do, just copy this just before append this dollar sign. Dollar username. So with this dollar username, SailPoint will understand this is the variable, right? Variable value will be calculated from the arguments for dollar like this. So actual username will come from our Java code. This. Okay. Now we can copy this code inside our workflow. Notify user, add here. Okay. This will be our identity name, not Aaron Nicholas. Okay. And these are your arguments. Sorry, the import statement. Okay. Save this. Same way we can notify manager. So for this, instead of getting this address from identity, what we'll do, first we will load the manager of this identity. Dot get manager. Now add one if condition. If manager is not equals to null, only process this code. And this email address get from manager. So manager dot get email, right? And email notification will be different. Okay, manager notification, right? So yeah, now we have to also pass the manager name. So I'll create one more variable, manager name. We can remove this user password for now. So this is the manager name. Username, identity.get name, manager.get name, right? So this is a code for manager notification, right? Copy this complete code here and go to the manager step, notify manager, add this code here. code statements. Okay, and what else? This one, right? Identity name. Okay, what else? Yeah, email template. So we have to also create one email template. So this is for the user notification. We have to create a separate template for manager notification. Remove the scripted ID modified. This is the name of my template, new joiner manager notification. Here we need to use one more argument, that is manager name. What argument you are passing? This is the key, this is the value. So with the key should be same here. Hi manager, onboarding of user. Let's say onboarding of Amit is completed, right? So Amit we can get from here dollar username. Dollar we need to add. Otherwise, SailPoint will take your whatever you type here, right here, right? It will take it as normal string. So we need to add dollar to indicate that this is not a normal string. This is a variable. So hi manager name onboarding of user is completed like this. Save this. Okay. So this is how we will use the email part. So set attribute is done. Okay. This is a lever, sorry. Set attribute is done. Provision BRFs is done. Right. Set password is done. Notify user, notify manager. Right. Now, so for the provisioning, what we are doing, we are creating a provisioning plan here, and with the help of workflow, we are executing. So we can execute two ways. We can use workflow or we can use provisioner API. Right. If I'm using workflow, when I execute the code run rule, right? If you remember, that time I mentioned that if you use the provisioner API, your code will immediately execute, your plan will immediately execute. There will be no approval generated, no access request, no notification. But if you are using the workflow, what will happen? SailPoint will pass your request, your plan to the LSM provisioning. Now, LSM provisioning will create access request, LSM provisioning will create approval, LSM provisioning will create a notification, everything, right? So what we are doing here, if you see, we have a plan and we are passing it to LSM provisioning. So this way, it will create access request. On the last session, one of you asked me this question, right? How this access request will be created? So this is a one way. There is another way. Save this. Let's add a new user.
I have one question here.
Mhm.
Yeah, this workflow launch code is like is same for almost all
This is
time.
a
Like what
standard.
is it?
Yeah.
It's standard.
This
Okay,
code to update any record in SailPoint. These three lines
it's standard.
to
Okay.
execute provisioning plan through API by workflow. This line provisioning plan direct execution. This line send email notification. This line. These are the SailPoint standard API.
Okay.
Okay, we have to always use same. Okay. Okay, so the username is Harman. Okay, I change the employee ID as well. Save this. So what we'll do now, we'll run the task. ms char execution. This will create a new identity. Identity created one. What is our lifecycle event? Joiner. It's configured create. Whenever a new entity created, it will call this workflow. So now go to task, go to refresh entity queue. Refresh entity queue to process event, right? We can call this, right? And when we are doing testing or in the production also, right? When we are doing testing, we don't want to trigger this process event on all user, right? And the production also, we don't want to run this task in all users, right? So what we can do, we can add one criteria here. So let's say this is my identity, Arman. As of now, I just want to only test for this particular identity, right? So how can we do this? Go to advanced analytics, click on clear search to remove previous search, click on advanced search, add here username or any criteria, let's say email. So what is the email of this user? Add this. Email equals to this, add filter. Go down. One filter is added here. If you see, you can run the search. This is our user, right? So if you want to run the refresh task only with this user, how can we do this? Click on this view edit filter source. This will give you one code, a filter code, which is developed in SailPoint language. Go to your task. On top, add this filter, optional filter, add this. Now this refresh task will only work for filter. What this filter return true. So this filter return true only for Harman. Now click the process event, and by this time event history is blank. So run this task, save and execute. Now refresh task is executing for which user? Identity examined 1, event process 1. Go to identity, refresh. This is the event. September 6, 919, my local machine time, employee joiner event because of refresh task. Why? Because identity was created, a workflow is launched. Right now, go to application account. Right, the provisioning is failed because LDAP is down. This is the provisioning plan. Okay, the provisioning is failed not because of LDAP down. You see, these all are step executed, and finally the end step. Right. So this is a provisioning plan created. So if you see what we are doing in our workflow, open the workflow. What we are doing when the plan created, we are printing the plan. So plan gets printed here. Provisioning plan, delete, whatever, right? So it's actually not correct. I'll change this and pass it to LCM provisioning. So LCM provisioning, what it will do? It will generate an access request. So if you see for Harman, an access request is created here, right? So it should be create, it should not be delete, and there should be some name here, right? So we need to fix this. Second part is email. Let's fix this first. So let's go to our workflow. So here the plan that we are using, right? This is for the delete. So for the create also we have a plan, provisioning plan that we used in past. It's not here. Let me copy from existing code. Yeah, so this is the plan I have to create a new account. Okay, I'll update this here. Provisioning plan. This is the plan generated, and then with this help, we are calling the workflow. So the delete part is fixed. So instead of delete, it will create a request for create new account. Second issue is, if you see, this label is not coming. This is called flow variable. So if you see our workflow, the workflow which we are using, we are passing only two arguments, launch argument. identity name in the plan, we need to add one more argument here. That is called flow. Flow is a variable basically. So whatever value will pass for the flow, that will be displayed. So let's say uh, new hire request. This is a label what we want here. New hire request. Okay, save this. Let's add one more record. Okay, so this time the name is changed Harman Sharma. What we'll do, and last time we created one task, right? Generic task, daily journal processing. Execute this. Sunny, it will bring the identity, it will refresh the manager, and it will launch the processing task. Completed. Starting completed. Refresh manager starting completed. Process event starting completed. Let's close all this tab. Go to identity first. Harman Sharma. Manager is coming. Events tab. Okay, event is not triggered. Why? Okay, event is not triggered. Why? Anyone can tell me why event is not triggered?
Because of refresh task.
What is the issue with the refresh task?
In the refresh task, we need to enable that option, process events.
It's already enabled.
Because of the filter.
This is because of the filter. So filter will scan the previous user only. Okay, because we have added one filter, right? So let me update this email address here. Okay, save and execute. Now for this user, event process one. We need to take care of all this thing, right? What filter we are adding, all this stuff. Event workflow triggered. Now go to access request for this. Again, that is what happened. Access request not. I think the code is failed or what happened. I updated the wrong workflow. Let's check. Workflow. Join a workflow, right? The joiner workflow. Provisioning birth site application. So this is the import statement. This is our code. Inside provisioning BRFs. So inside provision BRFs. Okay. Still using the previous code. Okay. Let's check one more time. Lifecycle event. Employee joiner event, right? So employee joiner event. Workflow name is lifecycle event joiner. Okay. Something. No, this is correct actually. This is the one we are using, right? No, no, no. Lever for employer lever. I'm getting confused today. Lifecycle event joiner. So this is correct. Okay. Now in the lifecycle event joiner, what we are doing, provisioning both at step inside provision BRFs. Okay. How this line is coming? Step Java code section. Okay, this is a line. Inside provision BRF, step Java code section. Okay. After this, inside provision BRFs again. So this line is not come. I think something wrong with my workflow. Let's add a new user again and test this. So I change the username Sherman and employee also 3. Save this. What we'll do, we'll run the HR task first. HRMS. HRMS segregation is completed. One user is created. Open this user identity Sherman. Sherman Sharma. Events. Sorry. Application account, right? Now we need to run the refresh task for manager. We have multiple tasks, refresh, right? We will run this refresh task to update manager. This will only update the manager. Manager is Sarabari. Now refresh task with the process event. Refresh anti-cube to process event, but here we have filter. So filter, I'll update this email address. This will call the joiner lifecycle event. Let's check that. Save and execute. Okay, this is the previous code actually. It's not printing the code at all because I think lifecycle event is not triggered. Lifecycle event is triggered, then why it is not printing the code? Okay, so now in this case, how can we check? Go to setup and task. For every workflow, SailPoint create a task here. You see, employee joiner event Sharman Sharma. This got failed. Okay, there is a parse error, right? So the code I just copy paste and edit, right? That is not correct because that is not a compiler. So it will not tell you that okay, here there is some you know syntax issue or some bracket is missing. So we need to correct that. Yep. So this is a try I'm using, right? This is not actually correct. Right. More than this, what you can do, you can copy this and you can paste this on your notepad and see if all the brackets are fine, right? So this is a code execute. We don't have any brackets here. All us. Okay, all looks good. So that track, code was edited on the top. So that was the issue. Let's add a one more user. 4. German Amit. Okay. I'll quickly execute all these tasks. HR task. Now refresh anti-cube. To update manager. Open the user. Sharman Amit. This is the one. Manager is populated. Now refresh task for the process event. I'll update the email address. Process event. One event process. Now see the logs. I think again it failed. Let's see the task. Join a task. Okay. Sharman Amit. Yes, it failed again. Again. So it's a parse error line number 8341. So 8341. So how can we count the lines? We need to count line from here. Okay. So the easiest way is where the source start. Copy this code where when the source ends. Put this in another file, and now see line number 83, pointing to line number 83, right? Now check where the line number 83. 83 is there. Okay, why it's failing here? We don't have any code here.
Is it okay to write system out before import?
Yeah, that's fine. Which one? You're saying this one?
Before that, import statement.
Yeah, it's fine.
is
Yeah, it's fine. It's
Number one.
it's not like a compiler, Java compiler. So in Java, it's not allowed. In a plain Java, it's not allowed. But here it's allowed.
No, number one line. Is it fine, right?
Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, this one is fine.
Okay.
So the plain Java, you should have first import statement, then the code, right? So that is not mandatory here. So line number 83, that means some bracket or some issue. But we are not using any brackets here. This code was same as it is. That would be from end of file. Source script. This is the only code I did. This part is not modified. So Sherman Amit, right? We triggered this Sherman Amit. Spitted error, parse error, line 83 column, end of file.
Can you change the language to XML if any issues? Still, it is giving the plan delete. Means it is not updated.
No. This is the previous one. This is the previous
Oh,
code.
okay.
Yeah, for Harman Verma. This is the previous code. So it's going here inside provision VR apps and it's filling. Every time it's going here, it's filling. It's executing this line, it's executing this line, this one, and after this, it's filling. So what could be the reason? Okay, text would get object finding, printing this.
Hey Rahul, can't we try this as a unit, like
Mhm.
unit testing? Like we can just try this part of code separate.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay.
Count request would set attribute plan.add, printing the plan. After that, hash map is this launch argument map, workflow launch. Flow variable, this is the value I added, that's it. We can try it in the run rule. Save this, test one. Okay, undefined argument. Let me put a name here. Get names, not able to load this ID, whatever. Sherman.amit. Then to resolve method get name on a defined variable name ID, line number 64. Oh, I see the issue. Okay, so here we have ID object. Okay, and top in the new code we have identity object. This is the issue. Let's go back to the workflow. This is happened because I copy paste code directly. Okay, let's fix this. In this workflow, we are using identity object, but in the below code, right, we are using ID object. So it should be identity. Okay, identity. Yep, ID dot. Yep, save this. Outlook, fine. Okay, and same time, let me also check the LDAP.
So out here for testing purpose, like you are adding new entries in HRMS every time. So like
Correct.
what I'm doing, like I have added entry one time, and after testing every time, if it's not work, so I'm just deleting the identity from the work. So you
That you
good?
can also do. Yeah, that's also. See, I mean, you should not do this in your real environment, basically,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
This is for test.
But in a
Yeah.
lower environment, you could do anything, right? Because in the like the final process, you will be deploying in your production environment, right?
Okay.
Check execution and refresh to update manager. Let's check user first. Let me close all these other tabs. Identity. Now this is the one. Application account, HRMS. Okay, manager is coming. Right. Now we'll run the refresh task with the process event, but we need to update the filter. Refresh anti-cube is triggered. It's failed again. If you see, we can see it here. Again, same error. Provision VR apps. Event triggered, but event failed. Okay, so this time you see it triggered this provisioning plan code. No, this one is again older one. It is the 41 parse error. The meaning of parse error is when we miss semicolon or bracket like that. That's one. Okay. The number 83. 83 means at 4 lines also any. That means 87. 87 is here. Why is filling here? How many brackets we have? One. How this is coming? I remove this. Save this code. Class workflow launch not found. Okay, I think I did one mistake. I copy pasted this. I should try this code in my Eclipse first because Eclipse will immediately highlight all these errors. Okay, so we should update this here in the Eclipse first. This is the advantage of Eclipse. Better standard way. Right now all looks good. No compilation error. That means no syntax, no bracket, nothing, right? So this is our final code. Now let me update this here. Remove this bracket. On the top also remove that public static void name. Save this code and let's test this. So this is the advantage of Eclipse. It will highlight any compilation, any issue. This is the advantage of run rule. You can test your logic here and then simply copy paste and move it into your workflow.
Rahul, what is the shortcut of to import statement suggestion pop-up?
Control Shift O.
Okay, thank you.
So I use this three shortcuts frequently. Control Shift O for import, Control Shift F for formatting, and when I press this, let's say when I type this context dot, so by default it comes, but if it is not coming, press control space. Okay, but there are other shortcut also, but we don't use much because we don't set up the complete project in Eclipse. But Eclipse provides a lot of shortcut, like something you want to search, right? A lot of things you can do. Okay, let's onboard one more user. Segregation first. Specialty for update manager. Okay, because in the local we have very less data, so all this task works very fast. Praveen Malik, Mango is coming. Now refresh task with the process event, but we need to update the email address. We can run against all user also, but it's better to not not include other identity, especially when you are in code testing phase. Okay, for Praveen Malik again it failed. Okay, let's see. Now this time it's look different error inside the notify manager, line number 2916. Okay, let's see the workflow again. Notify manager. Parse error 29. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 29. Almost at the end, it's failing. We are using this bracket. You see, same issue. Okay, I have a bracket here and I'm not closing it. So this is closing here. This is here. This should be closed here. Okay. This is the issue.
So how can't we rerun the process event again for this user?
So we can do, right? But it totally depend on your lifecycle event criteria. What is the criteria you have configured here? We have configured here. That is create. So INT only create one time, right?
One time, okay.
So with this criteria, we cannot rerun. So we have to go with the rule-based approach.
So like in real life scenarios, we have something like we are getting
Generally,
failed. So
generally we
we have
use rule-based. If you remember the last session, I mentioned that mostly we use the rule-based. That is the reason. Because here the INT got created. After that, it will trigger one time only, right? So the rule base and based on the INT generally, most of the organization don't trigger the joiner process. So they have multiple criteria that okay, user status should be active, user hire date should match with the current date, right? That we can only handle in the rule. In this case, it will keep trying multiple time, okay, until unless we update some attribute based on that, it will not pick again. It will keep checking all the user with that rule criteria. If they match the rule criteria, it will automatically pick. Whether joiner was previously processed or not, previously failed or success, it doesn't matter.
so is this rule called build map rule or some other like
This
USM
rule
rule?
is called identity trigger rule.
Okay.
Build map rule only work with your JDBC and delimit application.
Sir, Rahul, if even if from the rule it failed to provision,
Mhm.
so can we retry to that on user?
Yeah, always
How could we do that?
with the same rule. Oh, sorry. Uh, with if you use a rule based criteria, you mean?
Yes.
So if you use a rule based criteria, let's say I simply put a one criteria that user hire date should match with the current date. Okay.
Hmm.
And second criteria is user should be active. Okay.
Yes.
So based on this, those users which are coming from HR system, SailPoint will trigger the joiner process. Let's assume
Yes.
that you have some error in the joiner process, so joiner workflow will fail, right? So when you again run the refresh task, it will again pick all INT and it will simply check your rule-based criteria. It will always check the rule-based criteria. Whether those are the new INT, existing ID, it doesn't matter. It will always check until unless you also add some criteria. So if you remember in the last session, we created one variable is joiner triggered, right? So with the hire date and the status, we can use if is joiner triggered equal to S means started. Don't include this user into joiner process again. This way we can set up. Or maybe started but not completed, so include it. Some way we need to store the data because based on the data we can write our logic.
Okay. In the refresh identity cube, you mentioned that configure to rerun that for that user if it failed.
No, see, understand this. Refresh task always check the lifecycle event criteria. If any user match that criteria, it will again trigger. So if you
Hmm.
wrote a rule and rule match the criteria first time, right, on your refresh task, it will call the joiner. But let's say in the next refresh task also, your user still fulfill the same joiner criteria. It will again call the joiner process.
Okay. How could it know that it failed that process for him?
Yeah, so that's why if you remember, right, in the last session we created one attribute is joiner triggered where we can initialize different values, started, failed, like that, right? So we can pick the those user where it is failed.
Okay.
Somewhere when you loading that identity from the database, right? Somewhere you need to add some data to differentiate. Okay, on this user joiner triggered, it is successful. On this user joiner triggered, it's failed. On this user joiner never triggered, right? Somewhere you need to capture that information, correct?
Yes.
So that's the reason we created this ID attribute. Now in the backend for every INT, this attribute is there. So C means completed, S means started, no value means joiner never triggered.
This is a custom attributes.
This
Is
is a
it?
custom attribute we created, correct?
Okay.
Now for this, this joiner is triggered. Yeah, task this time successful. Current workflow step stop. So this time executed, code executed. Provisioning plan for this user. All this stuff is executed, right? Whatever we are using here. Okay. Okay. But this user is not getting the LDAP account. Why? Because that is inside the access request. New hire request for Naveen Sharma. This. Okay, it's waiting for complete provisioning form. Okay, and why it's waiting? So in the LDAP, we have a one review required of the form. So if you open the form, if you go to work item, you will see a one form for Naveen Sharma. If you open it, you will see all the value pre-filled. It's just we need to review it because this field is marked as review required. As of now, we'll click OK. So SailPoint will process the request. Okay, not waiting for approval. Okay. But if you don't want this request to be created, right? Because joiner should be triggered automatically end to end. What we need to do, go to LDAP, go to configuration, provisioning policy, click on create account here, click on this first name, type setting, remove this review required, apply, save this, and save this. This part is saved. Now it will not launch the form, but it will always launch the access request approval. If you have to also bypass the approval, what you need to do? There's a variable in the LCM provisioning workflow that control the approval. So what we need to do, we need to pass that variable from SailPoint as null. So open the workflow, open the LCM provisioning. So here we have one variable approval scheme. Approval scheme. In case of value none, approval are disabled. Now go to our joiner workflow. This is our joiner workflow. When we are creating access request, right? What we need to do? We need to initialize this variable as none. Create one more variable. Rule scheme value will be none. So now no approval will be created. So this way it will execute directly. Save this and let's add this user. Now it should run completely end to end. Task, star aggregation. Refresh INT to update manager. Now refresh INT to process event. So let me open the user. Let me copy the user email address. Update here in the filter. Save and execute. Event process. Event is successful. Events. Okay. Access request created. Failed. Why it failed? Oh, access request is not coming here. Why? What happened? Rosa Malik joiner triggered.
Is our LDAP server on?
Yes, but even in that case, request should come here, right? Why request is not coming here? Strange. Okay, let's check the logs. $9.57. Okay. Okay. This is the latest one, 9:57, right? Failed to create this user Naveen. Okay, this is for the previous user, which is fine. But the new request is not coming yet. This is weird. Okay, let's see why it's not coming. This is triggered completely.
But we added a user Roja Malik and this request is created for Naveen Sharma.
This is a previous request. See this.
Okay, but the timestamp saying it's the
No,
current
no,
one.
no, 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 no. It's a previous request. Okay, let me show you this. Okay,
9:57.
yeah,
But
requested is coming. Yep, you're right. And where is the other one? Okay, yeah, this is the previous one. It's a new one. Why it's picking the same user? Okay, I'm doing something wrong in my workflow. Let me check that workflow. I believe the identity is hard coded.
In
That's what is
the
happening.
task, you bit something like in the task you give
No,
filter.
no, this is the one. This is the issue. You see, when I was testing, I hard coded the name on my test rule. Okay, this is the issue. Okay, so many issues we face today. Okay, again, same thing. Hopefully this time it should work. Refresh ID to update manager. Let me show you this identity. Sachin Malik. Event tab is blank. Let's run the refresh ID cube with a process event. Let me update the email address here. Process event running. Your plan is great for Sachin Malik, but again something is wrong. Okay. Process event. You see something. Okay, something is wrong with the SailPoint right now. It's not a code issue. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so it's executing the code in the loop. Okay, why it's doing that? It should not be, should not do this actually. Okay, so it will also create access request. Okay, now we need to delete this task. There's two options. Terminate here. There are chances it will terminate, but if not terminate, what you need to do? Go to debug page. Okay, first thing is we need to delete the previous task result. What was the name? Refresh anti-cube process event. This one, right? So delete this. Second thing is let's delete that identity also, or the other identity which we did today only. Okay, let me add a fresh user here. Okay, so HRMS task first, then refresh anti-cube task, update manager, this identity, event tab is blank, manager is there. Now refresh task with the process event check only for this user. Copy this email address, date this, let's see. Again, it's going in loop. Okay. Now what we can do? Let's change this criteria. Go to lifecycle event. This should not happen. I never face this issue, especially with this ID create because ID only creates one time, right? So it should not call this process multiple times. But let's go for solution first. So what we'll do, we'll write a rule here. In the rule, we have an identity, new identity after the refresh. So what code we can write here? Let's say this is our identity.
This is the rule where we write the code, like we're talking
Correct.
about
Identity trigger type rule. Correct.
trigger.
So here I'll write simple condition. If new identity is not equal to null, and let's say new identity dot get attribute. If new identity is not null, then what we do? String new identity joiner status. So new identity dot get attribute. Which attribute is joiner triggered? That attribute we can copy from the global setting. So not called. Okay. Typecasting to string. Simply we can write one simple logic. If is joiner status equal to null, or or so C mean completed, S mean started. So means S dot equals, in both case what we need to do, we need to return true. Sorry, equals to null, or equals to blank also. Add one more condition here, equals to blank. If joiner status null, joiner status blank, or joiner status started, we need to process the joiner for user. Right. So what we can do, on the top we can create one variable flag equals to false. Only if this criteria match, what we'll do, flag equals to true. Otherwise, in remaining case, it will remain false only. Return flag. Okay, any doubt, any question here? Here I'm just checking one attribute. It can be multiple attribute criteria. We have to simply use if else. Finally, this flag, the the boolean what we are returning, true or false. Based on that, it will trigger the joiner process. Clear this part, this rule?
Yeah, I have a one doubt in the line where string joiner status, then you put a string in the bracket. So what is this bracket string? Are we like the string that is in bracket?
When we are calling new identity.get attribute, is joiner triggered, right? So this is a standard generic method, right? What we are loading from identity, it could be boolean, it could be list, it could be a string, right? So whenever we use a generic attribute type, we have to define that, okay, what we are getting from this, that will be a string. So converting into string.
Okay, we don't call it for like normal attributes that predefined, but for
No,
generic
no, it's a
attributes we have.
predefined. But here, if you see, right, new identity dot get attribute. What its return type? Object.
Identity.
So API is designed in a generic way. It will return object. Object can be a string. It can be a boolean value. It can be a list of entitlement. Anything, right? So we need to explicitly typecast that, hey, what we are loading is a string. So we are doing typecast. This is called typecasting.
Okay, okay, typecast. Okay.
Clear?
So Rahul, you are checking for yes or empty for this attribute.
Correct. Started,
And
it should not be completed basically.
yes, so when we are going to do that C update here, after where it will be
No, this is
going.
a criteria. This is a criteria. This
Yeah,
rule
this
is just a
is
criteria, entering criteria, right? The
no,
C
I
and
understood.
S we are doing inside the workflow. You missed last session, I guess.
Yeah,
Day before yesterday, I think you attended.
no, I didn't attend.
Yeah. So in that we have defining. So when the workflow start, that time we are initializing this value as a S started, and when the workflow finish, we are initializing this value as a C completed. So this way we are maintaining the status. Somewhere, and some way we have to maintain the status.
Yes, correct.
So this is how we are doing it. Okay. I will use this code and we'll resume from tomorrow. I think we need one more day. Okay. We'll resume this rule and work for tomorrow. All right, guys. Thank you for joining today. We'll connect tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks, Rahul.
Thank you. Bye bye.